It was a bright morning in Olowonira, a quiet town known for its peaceful streets and friendly people. Life moved at a steady pace, and the town's food vendors were doing well, selling everything from pounded yam and egusi soup to jollof rice and fried plantain. One day, a young woman named Abike arrived. She was strikingly beautiful, with smooth dark skin that glowed in the sun and eyes that seemed to hold a mysterious charm. She rented a small shop at the heart of the market and opened a food business. Her signboard read, Abike's Kitchen, the best food in town. At first, the other food vendors paid her little attention. After all, they had been there for years and had loyal customers. But within a week, something strange happened. People began flocking to Abike's restaurant. Her food was unlike anything the town had ever tasted. The aroma of her stews filled the air, making mouth water from a distance. Her amala was soft and smooth, her egusi soup rich and spicy, her jollof rice perfectly seasoned with a smoky taste no one could explain. Soon, customers were abandoning other food vendors to eat at Abike's place. Within a month, Abike's kitchen had become the most talked about place in town. People came in droves, young, old, rich, poor, even those who had never been interested in buying food outside their homes, found themselves craving her meals. Soon, queues began to form outside our restaurant. Men in suits, farmers in dusty clothes, and traders from the market all stood in line, waiting for a plate of our food. Cars were parked all around, and even people from neighboring towns traveled long distances just to taste our meals. Other food vendors in the town watched in disbelief. Their once busy shops had become empty. Customers who used to greet them warmly now rushed past without a word, hurrying to Abike's place. Many vendors had to close down due to poor sales. It wasn't long before they started whispering amongst themselves. This is not ordinary, Mama Titi, a food vendor, said to her colleagues one day. How can one woman suddenly take over the entire town? She must be using something, another vendor added. People are behaving as if her food is a drug. As the uproar among the food vendors died down, a new problem arose. Women in town began to complain that their husbands no longer ate at home. My husband used to love my food, one woman lamented, but now he barely touches his plate. He prefers to eat at Abike's restaurant. Another woman, Mama Folake, shared her frustration. Yesterday, I cooked his favorite pounded yam and eforiru. He just sniffed it, frowned, and said, "This is not as good as Abike's food." The complaints increased daily. Some men even started skipping work just to get a plate of Abike's food. Others fought over who would get served first. The town had never seen such madness before. One day, a curious woman named Yewande decided to follow her husband in secret. She had heard rumors about the long queues and wanted to see for herself. Yewande left her home quietly and hid behind a market stall near Abike's restaurant. What she saw left her speechless. The queue stretched far down the street. Some men stood with their hands on their hips, impatiently waiting for their turn. Others, dressed in corporate suits, loosened their ties and fanned themselves in the hot sun. Near the entrance, a few men had taken off their shirts and were washing plates just to get served quickly. Fights broke out between customers, each man desperate to be next in line. Yewande gasped, "This is madness." She rushed home and told the other women what she had seen. Soon the entire town was talking about Abike's restaurant. Rumors spread like wildfire. People began to say that Abike was using charms to attract customers. No food is that good, one woman said. She must be bewitching them. She has destroyed our homes, another cried. The women in Olowonira were fed up. They decided to confront Abike. The town elders were called to investigate the matter. They visited Abike's restaurant and watched as people devoured her food with greedy hands. But they found nothing unusual, just delicious food and happy customers. But one woman, Iabelo, refused to accept that nothing was wrong. Her husband had traveled to a neighboring town and had eaten at Abike's restaurant. Since returning, he refused to eat her food. He even started making excuses to visit Olowonira again, just to eat at Abike's place. One night, Iabelo had a terrifying dream. She saw a dark shadow hovering over Abike's restaurant, whispering incantations over the food. When she woke up, her body was covered in sweat. This is not ordinary, she murmured. I must do something. Determined to uncover the truth, Iabelo visited a powerful herbalist in the next town. Tell me, she pleaded, what is Abike doing to make people love her food so much? The herbalist closed his eyes and chanted some words. Then he opened them and said, what she is using is not of this world. He described a dark ritual involving human parts and strange sacrifices. Iabelo shuddered. She must be exposed. That night, a group of women secretly followed Abike. They watched as she entered her shop late at night, carrying a black pot. They peeped through a wall and saw her chanting over the pot, mixing strange substances into her food. She's using juju, one woman whispered in horror. Without warning, they burst through the door. Abike, we've caught you. Abike's eyes widened in shock. Under pressure, Abike confessed. I only wanted to succeed, she sobbed. I was tired of being poor. A powerful herbalist gave me this charm to make my food irresistible. I never meant to harm anyone. But the town was furious. The town elders held a meeting. She has brought chaos to our town, one elder said. She must be banished. Another declared. Abike was driven out of Olowonira. Days passed, but nothing changed. Men still craved Abike's food. Homes remained broken. She left, but the spell remains, someone said. She must give us the antidote. A group of women set out to find Abike. They tracked her down to a bigger city, where she had already opened a new restaurant. You must come back and break the spell, they demanded. Abike hesitated but knew she had no choice. Back in Olowonira, Abike performed a reversal ritual. As she chanted, a strong wind blew through the town. Slowly, the madness lifted. The men who had once fought for her food no longer craved it. Abike was banished forever, and peace returned to Olowonira. Even though the spell had been broken, the scars it left behind remained. Many homes had been torn apart by the obsession with Abike's food. Some marriages had ended, businesses had collapsed, and friendships had been ruined. The town elders called a special gathering at the palace of the Oba, the traditional ruler. This incident has taught us a great lesson, the Oba said. We must return to our roots. We must teach our children that greed and shortcuts will always lead to destruction. To rebuild their community, the town declared a special cleansing ceremony. The people fasted and prayed, washing away the remnants of Abike's influence. Food vendors who had shut down their businesses were encouraged to reopen, and the town elders promised support. Slowly, things started returning to normal. Women who had lost their husbands to the charm of Abike's food rekindled their marriages. The obsession faded and the people began appreciating their home-cooked meals again. But even as the town healed, Some people whispered, "What if Abike is out there starting again?" While Olowonira was recovering, Abike had moved to a bigger city, Ajishegiri. Here, life was faster and people didn't pay attention to rumors. She rented a large building and transformed it into a beautiful restaurant, Abike's Delight. This time, she was more careful. She used the same dark rituals, but she spread her magic slowly so no one would suspect anything too quickly. Within a few weeks, Ajishegiri was under her spell. Wealthy men, high-ranking officials, and even tourists crowded her restaurants. Some came in private cars, others in luxurious jeeps. Her food was so sought after that customers made reservations days in advance. Abike's fame spread beyond the town, and people from faraway cities traveled just to eat at Abike's Delight. But just like before, the madness began again. Men refused to eat at home. People spent all their earnings on her food. Fights broke out over who would be served first. And in a small corner of the town, an old woman observed everything, shaking her head. "She is at it again," she murmured. "This time, she must not escape." The old woman, Iyagba, was a respected herbalist. She had lived long enough to recognize dark magic when she saw it. One evening, she called together a group of elders and community leaders. "I have seen this before," she told them. "This woman is not an ordinary cook. She is dangerous." Determined to stop Abike, the elders planned carefully. Unlike in Olowonira, where Abike had been caught easily, they knew she would be more cautious now. One night, while Abike was performing a ritual, they struck. The town guards stormed into her restaurant, catching her in the act. "Abike, you have deceived another town," the head of the guards declared. This time there was no room for negotiation. She was tried before the council of elders. Every accusation was laid bare. Her dark practices, the chaos she had caused in multiple towns, and the homes she had ruined. "This time, banishment is not enough," the elders said. "We must make sure she does not do this again." Abike was taken to the deep forest where an irreversible ritual was performed to strip her of her magical powers. "We are not killing you," the high priestess told her, "but you will never be able to use charms again." As the ritual ended, Abike felt her strength drained. She screamed, but it was too late. Her days of deception were over. With no powers left, she was sent away, never to be seen again. As the people of Ajishegiri celebrated the end of Abike's reign of deception, something strange began happening. Even after she was stripped of her powers, some men still refused to eat at home. The craving for her food did not fully disappear. "It's as if her spell is still working," the elders whispered among themselves. Then a young man named Jide, whose wife had left him because of his obsession with Abike's food, made a shocking discovery. One evening, as he passed by the abandoned restaurant, he saw a shadowy figure sneaking in through the back door. Jide hid behind a tree and watched. Moments later, a tall hooded woman stepped out, holding a small glowing pot. He recognized her immediately. It was Iyagba, the elderly herbalist who had exposed Abike. Confused and suspicious, Jide followed her. She walked deep into the forest, where a strange ritual was taking place. Several other women dressed in black stood in circles, chanting. In the center of the circle was a small cauldron releasing a thick, eerie smoke. Jide gasped. Could it be that Iyagba had been walking along with Abike? He turned to run, but before he could move, the chanting stopped and the women turned to look at him. "You were never supposed to see this," Iyagba said, her voice filled with a strange dark power. Jide was dragged into the circle. his heart pounding. He had always believed Yagba was a kind old woman, but now he saw the truth. She was the true mastermind behind Abike's magic. You think Abike acted alone, she sneered. She was just one of my many students. There are others spread across different towns, continuing my work. Jide's blood ran cold. So the spell never ended, he asked, his voice trembling. Iyagba laughed. Foolish boy. The food itself was only a small part of it. The real magic was planted deep inside the minds of those who ate it. That's why even after Abike was cast out, the craving remained. Jide realized the horrible truth. Banishing Abike had not truly ended the curse. Jide knew he had to escape and warn the town, but he was surrounded. The women began chanting, the air thick with dark energy. He closed his eyes and did the only thing he could. He screamed as loud as he could, praying that someone would hear him. By luck, a group of hunters passing through the forest heard his cry. Armed with cutlasses and charms for protection, they rushed towards the sound. A fierce battle broke out. The hunters, skilled in traditional warfare, fought bravely against the dark priestesses. But Iyagba was powerful. With a wave of her hand, she sent one hunter flying into a tree. Jide, still tied up, struggled against his bounds. He saw a fire burning near the cauldron, and with all his strength, he kicked the pot into the flames. A terrifying scream filled the air as the magic dissolved. The priestesses shrieked as their power weakened. The hunters seized the opportunity and overpowered them, tying them up. Iyagba tried to escape, but Jide grabbed a nearby staff and struck her across the back. She fell, groaning in pain. You will not deceive another town again, Jide said through clenched teeth. The hunters took the captured priestesses back to the town elders. When the people of Ajishegiri learned the truth, they were furious. So all this time it was not just Abike, one elder said, shaking his head. This evil runs deeper than we imagined. The elders did not hesitate. Iyagba and her followers were sentenced to exile in the farthest desert, where they could no longer harm anyone. But even as they were led away, Iyagba said, You may have won this battle, she said, her voice dripping with malice, but the seeds have already been sown in many places. Abike is not the only one. Her words sent shivers down the spines of those watching. Had they truly put an end to the evil? Or were there more Abikes waiting to rise elsewhere? Months passed and the town of Ajishegiri slowly returned to normal, but the people had learnt a great lesson. The elders made it a rule that no outsider could open a restaurant without thorough investigation. More importantly, they encouraged families to eat together at home, strengthening their bonds. The people of Ajishegiri warned anyone who would listen. Beware of food that is too irresistible. Not all that tastes sweet is safe to eat. Abike's story is not just a folk tale. It is a warning. There are many like her today using unnatural means to control people. We must be vigilant, prayerful, and cautious about our choices. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story. Do well to like this video, share to your loved ones, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, why not? Hit the subscribe button and expect more intriguing and exciting stories. Thank you. Bye.